What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Dre the Brute Daniels, and welcome to the episode of the Indie Corner, where I sit down with everybody from the independence community, writers, artists, directors, producers. Doesn't matter if you're in the game, I want to talk to you. So today we have ourselves a very special guest. He is the writer of WATER WARS Chronicles. Give it up for my good friend, Timothy B Fling.
Andre, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here. It's good to see you again.
Oh, absolutely. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. The last time we spoke was during the Kickstarter, and thanks for helping out. Yeah, we hit all our goals, and now we're in the fulfillment stages of it. Digital came out Monday, and the next part is we're going to be shipping these printed books out. It's going to be an amazing book.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait. And I'm so happy to just be sitting here and talking to you again, my friend. You one of my boys. I love sitting there and chit chatting.
Yeah, we got a lot in common. I didn't know till today that you were a collector too. So
yeah, like
we could do a whole show just on that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, how much time you got? But it's so good to have you here. So first of all, thanks for being here, and I cannot wait to get into talking about your fantastic work. But for all my viewers and watchers, let's start with a little bit of origin. Who you are, how did we get here, and all that beautiful, juicy stuff.
Sure. My name's Tim Fling. I'm a writer and creator. I'm based in Pennsylvania. I started about 10 years ago. I was trying to write a script for what at the time was going to be an animated TV series. And that the TV series never got off the ground. But it sort of taught me how to write scripts, right? And in 2015, we took the script and reworked it into a robot comic book, which is called Socket. And I did that with the help of Mr. Martin Dunn. A lot of the people out there will know him. He's a musician and comic creator himself. And that was with a company called CAE. And I sort of, at the time, that was working with a publisher, and they had a thing, they called it the bullpen. And what they did, they sort of, if you had a script or a concept, they would sort of walk you through it, and you'd end up publishing a book at the end. And by the time I got to the end of number one, it was like I had learned how to do it, right? It worked on me. So
that's how it works.
I sort of had the bug then. And about that time, I started with this WATER WARS series. And what we were trying to do, the idea was at the time, it would be primarily female heroes. And it wouldn't be powers necessarily. It would be like a science fiction world, but there's no X-ray vision or that, nobody has powers. They're just trying to survive, basically. Now, that said, there's a lot of wacky sci-fi still going on. There's robot parts and uprisings and battles and all that sort of thing. But the plan was, at the time, we said, let's get the best artists in the world, the best letterers in the world, and we're going to make a book. At the time, it was image quality or higher. And then, we kind of went through all the steps, and I made that first one. That was before a Kickstarter. For me, I hadn't done a Kickstarter yet. And then we got to the next book, which is The Hunchback. You can see the Hunchback behind
I love that. I love your pinups. They're great back there.
So, we're trying to establish this sort of sci-fi world, and it's really the two titles: 2288, which is their female heroes, and the Chronicles series, which is like hard sci-fi, I guess you'd say. And I stumbled into doing the Kickstarters, and I just finished my third one. And like we were saying earlier, I think it gets easier as you go, and I'm lucky sort of that, number one, I have this great team that I work with. Thanks so much to those guys, and Erwin and David and Matthias and all the guys on the team have been just great. And the second thing is that the Kickstarter community, they kind of welcome you in once you start doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like you get a whole new batch of followers and friends. Once they see that you made something, it kind of like raises your credibility one more notch. And then by the time you get to 3 or 4, people start to say, hey, things like, what's the next one about? Like, you're getting a little traction, right? And, there's always like a saying in the industry that once you get to 5 or 6, you finally start to get your foothold in.
Yep. Once that snowball starts rolling,
right.
It turns to an avalanche.
What I'm trying to do. And I'll say on camera, I said this before we started, that Andre has just done a terrific job of what I call the video production and social media end of this. And it's so much work to do that. And that's the part that I I want to improve. You know, I've got to try and figure something out there.
You're too good to me, Tim.
That's to you, I should say.
You're too good to me. You're too good to me.
Well, it's true, you know. And I got another buddy who's a musician. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Andre, he's the guy that we write these songs together. It's two of us that do this. And actually, he does most of the work. I got to be honest.
Yes. So on that note, Tim, before we continue, everybody, my buddy Tim here and his crew, not only are they writing and producing comics, they're writing theme music for all their characters. And the theme music is chef's kiss. It is tremendous. And I'm sitting there like, my God, they figured it all out. So on that note, so let me ask.
Sure.
Okay, are you a composer, or is someone else on your team a composer?
I'm a little bit of a songwriter. When I first, I used to be a musician. There's some background. I was a bassist for many years, and I still play guitar. My son and I play guitars and whatnot.
Okay.
But I work with a songwriting partner, and his name's Sterling Jackson, and he's a musician himself. And by the way, you guys would get along great, because one of the things that he talks about is, you know, how you get this engagement and you get your YouTube channel and you get your followers. It's like a whole other job, right?
Yeah. Say it again, Tim. Say it again.
Well, but what he does, and he does many things, but one of them is, you know, we sort of co-write these songs, and we made the first one, which was it was a theme for the Hunchback book. And it has like the ringing of the bells and whatnot, and kind of the spooky sound. And how I did that one, you're gonna laugh here, but I have my iPhone and I like hum the melody into the phone, da, 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 and he comes back with it mapped out on the piano.
Wow.
And then we say, okay, put some drums here, and then basically he builds it into this epic theme.
Wow. That's crazy.
We did that. Yeah, it turned out great. So we did that 3 or 4 more times. And like I say, sometimes he'll have the melody idea and it'll be great. It'll be better than mine was. And we'll go with that, you know?
Yeah, that's really cool.
He's the one with all the recording skills and all the, you know, frankly, the software and the materials.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I pay him out of the Kickstarter money. So like, to me, having the music is part of the marketing.
Yeah,
right?
And the experience.
Yeah.
It's all part of it. That's
and then
brilliant.
We just did one recently. I put a call out to, I occasionally say to other people in the Kickstarter community that we'll write theme songs if you want, right? Because some people want to have like a little theme music at the beginning of their whatever they're making. And if it goes along with the subject matter, even better, which who better to talk to than other comic guys, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I put this ad, not even an ad, I just announced it in one of the groups or something. And the guy wrote back to me, it was Russell Nolte, who I've got a lot of respect for. He's got this big Cthulhu book coming out.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd love a theme song. And in this instance, it was totally reversed. This one has words, and Sterling wrote all the music, and I wrote the words.
Wow.
So we just kind of like put those two things together, and that's how we did that one. And that one's not even released yet. I'll have to turn the
that's still like what you guys are doing over there is really unique. And like me, like just like all of us, we're all big nerddom is what we do. And I love a good theme song. I'm a sucker for a good theme song. Like if I go back, like if you go like to the 90s or whatever, you go the X-Men cartoon.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's a great example, man. And
like
that's
some
exactly
people,
the kind of thing we're trying to do.
Yeah, like some people like that weren't even if you didn't even watch the show, you know that theme song. And the moment you hear like X-Men,
you get chills right away just hearing.
Exactly. Right when you hear that doom 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 doom, it automatically takes you right there. And that's why I think it's so imperative. And like when you told me that you were making music for this, I was like, I said, I have literally written an action adventure musical as a comic, and I do not have a theme song. I'm sitting there like, am I high? Did I miss something? I'm like,
maybe we can help you get a theme song, man.
Yo, look, Tim, me and you we gonna have words, because I'm sitting there like, they beat me to the punch, and I wasn't even thinking about what to put in the Kool-Aid. I'm like,
you know who else always had a great theme song was the, did you ever see the old show Gargoyles?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Did you like that?
Yes. That theme is tremendous. Another tremendous, that gothic whole, it gives me like your Hunchback.
That's exactly,
like
it's funny you say that, because that's, at the time, That's what we were kind of patterning it after, right? Like it would be, some things would be a little different. It's got the bell ringing and so forth, but it's like a gothic, you can just picture the darkness and the moon and the,
Yeah, that's dope.
So, yeah, that's what we were shooting for. And we occasionally, like I say, I've been trying to do this it helps me keep my foot in the creative community by helping others to write these songs and so forth. Because I'm a pretty decent songwriter, not particularly. Like I say, I'm really trying to be a writer, right? These other things keep coming up, but I have some basic songwriting.
But Tim, that's how it goes, especially when you're writing in the comic community. For me, like I've been writing comics forever, but now I'm writing scripts. I'm actually putting my comic into a screenplay. Nice, I'm running YouTube. I'm doing all these other productions. Like when when you start the writing game, all these other things are just gonna come. It's just gonna come. It cannot be stopped. It's a typhoon.
I got to get to a stage where the writing and the creating is the bulk of what I do. Because, it's like we were saying, it'd be great if it was 80% of the time was creating new content, and then 20% of the time was, marketing and Kickstarter creation.
Wouldn't that be beautiful?
Some days it's the other way around.
Oh, most days, Tim. I'll say most days it is, because like for us as writers, we'll always go back and revisit our work and edit it 1,000 times. Right. But the stories that we've written have been written years in advance, more often than not. But we just go back and revisit, and then we get the production and all the other beautiful stuff. But there's so much to go, like writing, more or less, as important as it is never the majority of our time. It never is. It's like, yo, I wrote this. It's beautiful. It's Citizen Kane. Like, okay, now we gotta produce. Now we gotta get some artists. Now we gotta get some lettering. Now we gotta get some coloring. Now we gotta get some advertisement. Now we gotta try to think about Kickstarter. Like all these things end up like, oh, now how else are we gonna do that? How else are we gonna get the exposure? Oh, maybe YouTube. Oh, maybe this, that, Twitter, Instagram. Right. And like, oh wait, I wrote something, didn't I? Didn't I write something? it just comes to the background.
I've been doing open submissions a little bit too, like things like, because like I say, some of our stories are short stories. They're 8 pages, 12 pages, different lengths. So if you see somebody do an open submission for, like anthologies will sometimes say things like, well, it has to be about, like there was a recent one, it has to be about becoming something else. Well, that could be almost any story, right? So I remember I sent that one. I didn't get in that one.
Yeah, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, but I've been doing that and just emailing editors out of the blue. I'll tell you, for Lost at Sea, this book came out really nice. So I'm going to reach out to Image with it, which is never. They always tell you don't do it and blah blah blah, and you're wasting your time. But here's the truth, man. I've reached out to other editors like Ben Dunn from Antarctic Press, and I know some of the Source Point Press guys. You can reach out to editors, and have some success with it. I don't make it sound like I've had all this great success.
I'm making it rain. Tim's making it rain.
But in my experience, you can you might meet a cool guy. Yeah, and sometimes that's how you build your network. Take a swing, man. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's like a lot of folks in the independent community, shy away from it because of past experiences of being denied and all that. Trust me, God knows I've got so many rejection letters, man. I got more rejection letters than I got good report cards growing up. Okay, that's how many jokes I've gotten. But like you said, Tim, shoot your shot. You shoot your shot, because you never know. Like you could be the editor or producer or maybe another writer or a creative director, and they're like, hey, I really like Tim, what he submitted to us. Let's just talk about it, see what else he's got.
Right, and you might not only get your book picked up, you could pick up something else. And that was how I got involved with, well, and you know what, I probably shouldn't say the company because I don't know what's going to happen yet, but I did get paid, which was one of the indie publishers that has a very good name. Okay. Very successful Kickstarter guys. They hired me to write a script because they had seen the, I think it was the Hunchback book. Okay. And it was, they had like an original IP. Like I say, it was characters and stuff that they had essentially created. And I wrote a first draft with these characters and scenarios and sent it off to them. And I got paid for that. And it was only because of them seeing the other book.
Got it.
I imagine I'll probably have a credit in the book when it comes out.
That'd be dope.
Yeah,
that'd be dope.
That's a good example, right? Like sometimes you don't always know where it's going to come from. Yeah. We got this other one, This was the Cthulhu story. That's, I wrote it's just an 8-pager. It's a short one. But hey, I'm going to do it with my buddy Erwin, which he did this Hunchback design behind me. Well, he had some kind of schedule conflict and was not available to do the pages. I ran across this other guy, just a guy on Facebook who I'd seen his work and liked. His name's Renan Shoddy. His illustrating style is a little bit more like this.
Okay.
And now he and I have the latest book, and it's going great.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Like I said, it's all who you meet, right?
Yeah. Always is. Always is. So on that note,
lucky.
Yeah, exactly. On that note, Tim, let's jump into your work a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the Water Wars Chronicles. I know we're at Lost at Sea now. And so which number book is this in the anthology?
2, yes. The first one is the Hunchback book. That's Chronicles 1. And the second Chronicles book is Lost at Sea. Okay.
So you don't have to break down too many spoilers for us. But what is the overarching story of this, of your whole anthology in general? Like, what is the overarching story?
They're short stories, and in the Chronicles universe, it's a little bit more like real life sci-fi, and they have a little bit of a sort of a hand painted look. That's Erwin doing all those pages, so there's a consistent look throughout. And if you've ever seen the old TV shows that are sort of like, the Twilight Zone or Night Gallery, like that, it's very much like that. And here's what I mean by that. They're short stories that always have sort of weird characters. And at the end, there's always a little bit of like a twist. Right? It's, it's, I don't want to give too many spoilers.
Yeah.
It was just a hair off what you probably thought it was going to be. And the characters tend to be things like, in the Hunchback book, the main story, it's about a mechanical caretaker in an old church. It's about 200 years after the apocalypse. And he's taking care of this old church, and he finds something unexpected. And that's his story. And then in the current one, Lost at Sea, it is about this sea captain, the robot uprising. They've detonated a bomb beneath the Earth's crust, and they've flooded all of New York's underwater. So this guy's job is he drives a sub and he patrols looking for survivors. Well, what he finds, what it is, he thinks it's a girl. It looks like Marilyn Monroe, but of course it's a robot that was designed to trap him in this plot. Yeah. So, they have a bit of a sci-fi angle, and it's really been a lot of fun to make them. Yeah. And there's 6 short stories total in that universe.
That's tremendous. And like, I was talking with another group of creators that are doing pretty much an anthology-esque. It's more pulp than anthology, but in the same wheelhouse. And they had a bunch of different creators contribute and stuff like that. But for you, are you the only one writing each of these stories?
Right. Yeah. There's one thing here that's a little odd, which is that I'm kind of the engine, right? Like, so far I've written all the stories. Yeah. But we have a pretty diverse stable of artists. And I think for number 6, it'll be, we do have a first guest writer coming who's Peter Welmerink. Okay. And what he did, I'm going to tell you a little bit about his story.
Yeah, lay it on me.
Concept. It is like an Old West type story, but it's all tied into the Water Wars universe. Like he's like a leader of a water gang, this old grizzled gunslinger, and he's half robot and the whole bit. And it's like a Western story. And in the end, he ends up giving up his life to save some human, in some shootout with some gang. It really feels like an old dusty Western. I really dig it.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's all different stuff. So that's going to be in the Chronicles side, because we're going to have Erwin illustrate it. So I guess I'll be the editor, you might say, but I won't be writing it.
But you won't be writing it. Okay. Because like when
it won't be too far down the road, though. Okay. We talked about it yesterday, so probably start pretty soon.
Yeah. What made me spawn that question, Tim, is because like when it comes to anthologies, usually it's a collaboration of a lot of different writing ideas. Usually when I see it that way, usually you have like 4 or 5 writers. Everybody writes a story, and then you export the art, whatever the case may be. But I think this is very unique, what you're putting together here, because having an anthology with pretty much one writer is pretty cool, because it's not only are you making stories that are contained, you're able to separate them in your mind to make separately contained stories in an anthology, which to me, do I think I can pull that off? No, I don't think I could pull that off. So like what you're doing is really cool, really unique, and really especial, my friend.
Well, thanks.
Because like me as a writer, like I've told you before, I'm an episodical writer. I'm episodical. So we're gonna have beginning, middle, end over an entire arc.
Yeah, story arc.
Sure. Yeah, an entire arc is gonna be 8 issues, 10 issues, whatever. It's one whole story. So you gotta be, hey, don't start at number 6. You better jump to number 1 and, and come on over. But the way you have things set up, a brand new reader can jump wherever they want to jump into.
Right, yeah. The series is one where you could look at the cover and say, this looks cool. And if you read it, you'd probably still like it. And you wouldn't be like, oh, why didn't I get the other one?
Exactly.
But we are going to, I'm telling you, you had a genius idea, which is when you get to the trade levels, which I'm just getting there now, which is what I call the plus, really 90 some pages, you got to be at least, right, for a good one. So if you go to the 2288 side, we're going to be at something like 78, 80 pages, something like that. So almost enough there. And what we're going to do is rearrange the story so they're in chronological order.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it'll be the first time that's done.
Oh, and that's brilliant.
It'll make sense a lot then.
Oh my God.
But like I say, you wouldn't have to read it like that way. It wouldn't necessarily jam you up. But if you were reading the trade, it wouldn't even seem like it was ever other issues, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And that's why, like, for me, when it comes to the trade, like once again, but your situation is very unique and very, I already said unique. I'm going to stick with that word. It's very unique.
Yeah, it's good.
Because you're taking what is an anthology, which can be read anywhere and still have a chronological order. So when making a trade, you like, if let's say I bought them all at different times for the sake of argument. Let's just say you made 4 of them. That's for round numbers. Let's say you made 4 of them. I got number 4 first. Then I got number 1. Then I got number 3. Got number 2. And then I'm like, hey, I love this digital or paperbacks. Hey, he's releasing a trade. I want to see what he got going on. Then I'll be able to read it in a completely different light. I can be like, oh snap, that's why that connects to, wait a minute. Oh, these stories
There's
do.
The girl from the beginning.
It's like, that's what I'm saying. What you're doing is
People
freaking.
dig that stuff.
It's right out.
Little
I mean,
Easter eggs, right?
It's crazy. And because like me, I love subliminal writing. That's me. I'm a crazy person. I like subliminal writing. So like in one of my stories, I have a lot of it takes place in the city where I grew up, which is Washington D.C. So I'll have like graffiti on the walls that help tell a certain story of what's going on in a certain panel or not, or a background character that has something on their shirt or something like that. So and I'm counting on when the trade comes and people flip through like, hey, wait a minute. Oh, snap. Oh, he said this in issue. Oh, and like, I love that stuff. I love the Easter eggs. I love the subliminal stuff that's like not directly in your face, but you should have caught on to. Like, I'll share something with you here, Tim, because I'm excited now. I'll share something with you. In issue 2 of my series, my main character, Zamir Green, he discovers one of his abilities, which is super speed when he listens to dance hall music. Okay. So while he's running through the city, there is a pair of guys that he zooms past, and he was like, "Yo, did you just see that?" And he was like, "Nah, I've been drinking. I don't know what I'm talking about." So then, as he runs around the city, he gets tired, and then he returns back to where he was, and he's going so fast, he zooms past the same guys again, and they're like, "There it is again." There it is again. And he's like, but you're drunk. He's like, yeah. He's like, I saw a fish guy the other day, so who knows? I don't know what I'm talking about. Then issues later, there is a character named Sharkbait, who is a tribute to the creature of the Black Lagoon.
Oh, nice.
And that ends up being the quote unquote fish guy that the guy thought he saw issues early. Like, so it kind of comes together because though the reader will be like, wait a minute. Hey, didn't he mention?
Yeah, like one of the great things about episodic.
Yeah, and that's why I love episodic. I mean, that's why it's my bread and butter. But what you're doing is so cool and so unique. I literally, even from my perspective of someone that's writing for years, it blows my skull.
I'm hoping that, like, to me, it'd be great if some other writers came on, and I'm going to try and keep that open, because I remember, when I was kind of starting out, they were like encouraging me, and I was the only. I mean, there was like a writer, there was a letterer, there was a colorist. Like, I was one of the only writers at the time, and it'd be nice if I could sort of help some other writer.
Yeah, like
because once you get the first one, that bug bites.
And
you
that's
become a creator. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's tough. Like I've tried to do a collab in the past, with another writer. He actually lived in Japan. I tried to do a collab in the past, but sometimes when someone may not be on the same, not saying that I'm the greatest writer of all time or nothing like that, but if somebody's not on the same creative mindset or have the same writing experience, and then you do this, it can get really frustrating. It can get really frustrating, because like especially if you have to know who you're partnering with. Like, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Tim, me and you, we vibe like this.
Yeah.
Pretty much. We're cut from the same stitching. We have different writing styles, but at the same time, we understand how storytelling works. Whether we want to do the ring or the triangle theory, either way, we know how it works. So there'll be aspects like, hey, I can really focus on whatever, how these characters talk and function, and you will be someone that builds the world. I can see how we can do that, and it will vibe like this. But it is hard. It's very hard to find a writer, co-writer, however you want to phrase it, that is on that kind of page. It's tough. It's no easy path.
Yeah.
But I know you're savvy enough. If you wanted to pull that off, I'm sure that you'll be able to do it.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I got right now probably enough in the can. I got my Lost at Seas on fulfillment right now. That's WATER WARS Chronicles 2.
Excellent.
Then 2288 Volume 3 is actually already finished. That'll be the next Kickstarter, and I'm hoping that'll be ready by March.
Oh, nice.
And then the next Chronicles book goes into start after that. And also, we're writing number 4 at the same time. So this year's going to be busy for me.
Yeah. There's no rest for us, Tim. We don't get rest. How dare you look for sleep? I should
probably mention number 2 got picked up by Antarctic Press. I think I might have told you that.
Oh, man.
So we're going to see that in not this month, but next month.
Tim, congratulations.
Cover, first of all, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then also it'll be serialized across 3 issues, because it'll be a little bit episodic.
Oh.
Because this story is one of those oversized stories. It's like 50 pages. It's too much to put in one book.
That is too much. Come on, Tim.
I think what they're doing is, I don't control this part of the publishing, but I think the first story, it's the cover, and it's like the first story in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next 2 stories, I'm sure it's probably the backup story.
Got you. It's
fun. It's across 3 issues, so it helps my publishing clout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So tell me about like you dropped that issue that was at 52 pages. You dropped it at 52 pages. So. Like, I've edited myself a bazillion times, but the most I've ever produced page by page was a 32 pager. Because I wanted to just make sure all the pages were filled and whatnot. So, was it 52? Did you end up splitting it, or how did you end up, or just end up just doing it? There's a whole 52 in one clean shot.
How ours usually comes up is it was usually like 44 or 48 pages, and then the extra came from the Kickstarter. Whatever the stretch goals were, which are things like there's always a meet the creators, and there's an art gallery in there.
Okay.
Just about every issue, which gives you something like, I think the last one was 6 pages worth of what they are is it's the codex. It'll say the year, a future year, and it'll show you what happened that year.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's a stretch. Oh no, and that's good. You pretty much answered exactly what I was trying to get at too, because it's more of a stretch page, stretch goal pages. That makes sense. No. What you said, because I was sitting there, I was like, yo, that's a big book, but not quite.
The goal is not to make it that big, but then if you hit all the numbers, that gives the end user, the consumer, which one of the things I try to focus on, like we were saying. We all fall into this trap of, I'm going to do hats and shirts and stickers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the average fan probably doesn't want that from guys like me and you. They're comic guys. They'd rather have a better product.
I agree.
And more of a collectible somehow.
Yes. And that's why, like, I want to focus on bookmarks, because like me, I mean, you and I love huge graphic novels. I love huge graphic novels. Like, I got a whole wall of them right in front of me. Huge graphic novels, but I'll be reading a bunch of them simultaneously. I need the bookmark. Maybe we're just old school, Tim. Maybe we're just old school and we just use it. Maybe we just use the. But I think like bookmarks are not only practical use, but at the same time you get a cool collectible.
Yep.
At the same time, so like you have a bookmark that matches the book that you have, and I think that's really dope.
Well,
And like you said,
like they got something extra.
yeah, and like you said, like readers want to read. The overwhelming majority, unless you got a major budget, you can make action figures or something.
I would love to do that.
Yeah,
Andre, I tell you, if there was a way to do that, I would.
Oh, be still my heart. If I had that type of budget, now we got something to discuss, because now that's a beyond collector's item. But majority of us ain't, we ain't Jay-Z. We ain't making it rain like that.
Right. Just the production. I looked on that once to see and of course there's other ways to do it now. There's 3D printing and there's custom ways. But to make a mold, which this is how they do with just a very little articulation, maybe even almost none. Just to start, it was like $15,000.
Ah.
Yeah, man, I'm not going to sell that many books.
Lord Jesus.
Well, it's the same thing for me. I tell you, Andre, I've been trying to do a hardcover, right? Like I could do a 100 and some page hardcover, but I got to be honest, right? For my sales level, I don't generate enough in sales to cover the extra that I would have spent on the minimum order for a hardback.
Yes.
Like
yes.
I won't do, 5,000, 7,000 in hardback sales. I won't hit that number.
Yeah, that's just the reality. That's just like the reality
now,
situation.
If it was soft stuff, I could probably hit the.
Hey,
our goal is this time. I'm shooting for 5,000.
Hey, look, that's a very attainable stretch goal. Like that's a very attainable. But if I'm sitting there and being like once again, like even being in the indies, we have to use reality. Reality is we ain't about to sell 500,000 copies. It's just not happening. It's not gonna happen. But if we get a good round number, then we can make some business decisions. You know what I mean? But a lot of people lose sight of that. I've seen it a bagazillion times. Like, okay, all right, we're gonna make hardcovers. We're gonna make a bunch of trinkets. I'm like, listen, bro, unless you got some money stashed in the back, that's gonna run you some serious coin.
And you might be better to. And hey, by the way, I'm still finding my way, right? I've only done 3, so I'm not a total expert. There's people that have done 15.
Yeah.
But I will say you're probably better off. Like I used to say, well, I'm not going to do variant covers. It's too gimmicky. I'm a writer, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, come on, Tim, no variants.
You got to have variant covers. Yeah, you got to do a bunch of them. So you might be better to do 1 or even 2 more variant covers rather than do a hardcover.
Yeah, and I love variant covers. Because it gives me an opportunity to revisit old stuff. Because like the covers that I've, written or whatever or put together was done years ago. So I get to revisit and be like, hey, instead of this, let's make sure there's an explosion somewhere and women crying and like all types of craziness. Because I get a chance to revisit something that I loved. So I'm a sucker for variants. I'm a sucker for variant covers. But yeah, you're right. That it would be more it's more feasible. It's far more feasible.
For sure.
Instead of doing, because like me, I'm a trade back, but I'm a hardcover guy too. I love hardcovers, but once again, that coin.
I would feel pretty good, Andre, if I did. Like our last goal was 100 backers, right? Which is a milestone for me, and that ended up being 129.
Excellent.
But now it's 150. You always want to try and grow.
Yeah, get a little something. That's excellent, Tim. Look.
I could make it work though, because the Antarctic Press is going to be getting released roughly about the time my Kickstarter's running. So it's like, hey, here's number 3 if you're reading number 2 right now.
That's awesome. I'm so happy to see your growth.
Buy them from me, but if they buy it from Antarctic, it's still
money.
Right. Well, I've got to sell something like I don't do enough copies there either. I get like an initial pay up front. But I've got to do 6,500 copies, and then it's 10 or 12% after
Okay.
that. Like, you know, it's kind of unlikely that Water Wars #2 is going to be the next Walking Dead. But
Yeah.
hey, you never know.
You never
know.
hey.
At least I got my foot in the door.
Exactly. You never know. It could be. Like, I'm pretty sure somebody didn't think that Static would have been a cult hit, or thinking at one point The Walking Dead would be a cult hit. Like
Yeah.
It always starts off with like, oh man, what's the chances? And then it's like, oh snap, it happened. Oh snap.
Right.
Oh snap. You know, so I mean, so like the fact that you're in there with Antarctic, that is dope.
Yeah, and by the way, they're super people. They've been great to me, and the same thing. They support each other, and you know, we're like we were saying earlier, we're lucky to have guys like each other, right? That are genuinely trying to lift each other up.
Yeah.
And the Antarctic people, that's Ben Dunn. He's definitely like that. He's given me a couple of breaks now. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. The Hunchback book is also going to come out on Antarctic this year.
Look at you, Tim. You out there holding
I
back
didn't
on me.
announce that one yet. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say.
Oh, you holding back on me, Tim. Hey, hold back on
That
me.
should be that'll be like the September. That'll be like the September issue, I guess, and I'll make a big announcement.
Okay,
about
yeah,
that.
yo, you let me know when that goes down, cause that's
So,
that's
I'm
worth celebrating, my friend. That is worth
Thanks.
celebrating.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks. I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, you should be. Look at you out there acting like you don't know what you're doing, running game on me. But that's great. So Tim, tell us, where can we get Water Wars Chronicles? Where can we pick these things up?
The easiest place to reach me is at earthdogstudios.com. You also, if you go to waterwars2288.com, that's also me. Or, of course, I'm on Facebook as Earth Dog Studios and Timothy Fling. I do have the website set up to sell everything.
Excellent.
But these days, I'm primarily a Kickstarter guy. So if you follow me, you'll see all the announcements for everything. And I hope that people will follow, because I'll give musical samples. And, you know, I do give free samples of the work, as you know, leading up to it, to try and get you to follow along on the ride. You know?
Absolutely. Because this is a heck of a ride, and I am muy excited. Like this ride.
I gotta say, man, I appreciate you a lot. It's always fun talking to you, and this was a good one today. We got to do a segment all on collecting then.
Oh my God, Tim, we're gonna have to do that one like a live stream or something, because we could sit there for like 2-3 hours. And talk about. I can sit there. I'm just bring up the drum. Like, all right, let's get this started here.
I tell you what, if you do that on your channel, grab me. I want to be on.
Absolutely. I will grab you for sure. Wow. So this has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Tim, for coming on and sharing all your great work and your great story. This has all been tremendous, my friend.
Thanks so much, Andre. It was a pleasure seeing you again.
Absolutely. So everybody follow Tim on all his dope social media platforms. Find all his terrific work he is doing. As I like to say, the Lord's work. He is putting it in. This has been the Indie Corner. You already know who I am. I'm Dre the Brute Daniels. Follow me on all those dope social media platforms that you'll see right under my face. They're not there yet, but they'll be there. At TheBrute00 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and sometimes even on TikTok when I'm acting silly. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you all support. You all have been fantastic, and I'll catch you all next time. Also, if you want to support my channel, check out spinwiz.com or download the Spinwiz app and check out my comic series, Trouble. It was written with a lot of love, and it was definitely my favorite comic series to write. I've also written it in English and in Spanish, so whatever floats your boat, I got it for you. Thanks again, and check it out.